All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Wynn. I am a principal program manager with the Viva Engage product and engineering team, and I'm happy to be joined by, you'll see some folks from our team in the chat, and also Allison will join me here in just a little bit as well to talk through a couple of capabilities, but we're really excited to have you joining us today so we can just update you on some of the latest and greatest from Viva Engage. We really appreciate this time with you all, and please feel free to use the chat, as I mentioned above, for all of your comments and feedback. We love to hear from you, and if you could please let us know what's resonating with you. Let's test out those the reactions as well. Please clap or give a heart for things that are resonating with you. Those it'd be great for you to have some give us some participation throughout. We love that as we go along. This is just a quick disclaimer. We're going to talk about some futures here, and just know that we'll try to represent things visually as best we can, but just know sometimes when we actually ship some of these things, they might change. Some of the dates might change, might shift just based on the priorities of our team and the things we need to focus on. But we try to represent as best we can the timing and how these things are going to show up for you all. Again, thank you to so many of you that have been previously Yammer customers and now Viva Engage customers for so long. We're really proud of the customers and that you all have been a part of this journey for so long. For those of you that might be new to this journey as well, we'd always like to just sort of level set and just talk about where Viva Engage fits within the overall portfolio of products that you all invest in from a Microsoft perspective. Overall, we really want Engage to be this place for your employees to connect with employees, with colleagues, with leaders across the organization. We want it to be a place for your employees to be able to activate themselves and activate the teams that they work with, activate the communities they work with. We want it to be a place for leaders to be able to connect and communicate broadly across your organization. For so many of you, it's a place that you want to create this two-way dialogue between employees and your leaders. We know that's important for you all. For those of you that are corporate communicators, we know this is a great platform for you to be able to get your messaging out, understand what's top of mind for your employees, and really connect your employees at a broad scale across your companies and across your organization. Communities have always been foundational to the core of what Engage has been, and we'll continue to invest in those areas. We really want communities to be that place for your employees to come together around communities of practice, special interest communities. Maybe it's an organizational community. Again, we'll talk about some of the specific things we've been doing around communities to continue to improve that experience for your employees. And then lastly, especially for those of you that have been using Engage for a long, long time, we've heard from some of you that have said that Engage really becomes the brain, the operations for your organization. And increasingly, we want to give you the opportunity to extract that knowledge and find and connect with expertise. So we'll talk about some of the ways that we're going to continue to improve that experience as well. The other thing that we've worked really hard on is to make sure that Engage itself is one that meets your employees where they're doing their work, whether that's in Outlook, whether that's in Teams, or whether you built out your intranet on SharePoint. We want to make sure that Engage shows up in a very engaging way across those surfaces. There's hundreds of millions of people that still use email on a day-to-day basis, similarly for Teams. And so we want to make sure that your employees that are using Engage, that they can access the fullness of Engage in those places as well. And of course, all of this really powered by AI. We'll talk a little bit about Copilot as well, and how we're continuing to help you all with your investments in overall Microsoft 365 Copilot going forward. Just a little bit of a wayfinding as well. We know we have a mix of customers here. Some of you are using Engage with your Microsoft 365 license. We often refer to them as a E3 or E5. Some cases, some of you might have frontline worker SKUs F1 or F3. So what you'll see throughout today's presentation. You can take a screenshot of this if it's helpful for you. But you'll see throughout the presentation, you'll see this sort of circular icon. That will represent capabilities that are available to all of our Microsoft 365 customers. Throughout, you'll also see this icon here indicating that this is a feature that's available to those of you that might also have our either Viva Suite or what we call our Viva Communications and Communities license. You might also hear us say things like Viva Engage Premium or CNC. Those all reference the same sort of Viva licensed capability. So please feel free to ask. We understand sometimes it's not always clear, so feel free to ask if something isn't clear or what license something is available to. Again, as we go through, hopefully you'll see we've tried to denote things as easily as possible to make it clear what belongs to which license. Okay. I'll look to my colleagues to keep an eye on the Q&A. And Allison, if there's something pertinent in the Q&A that you think is relevant to the topic that we're on, please interrupt me, and we'll try to answer some of those questions as we go along as well. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Allison. All right, so can't get too far without talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot. And we know that many of you are starting to investigate and explore Microsoft 365 Copilot in your organizations. And a big goal of ours is to make sure that your employees are successful with Microsoft 365 Copilot. But as we rolled out this new capability, our Viva Engage Copilot community to our customers, it's been available probably about 3, 4, 5 months or so now. We've started to collect some interesting data of our customers that are using this Copilot community. For those of our customers that are using this Copilot community actively, meaning there's at least 5 or more threads, active threads per month in this Copilot community, what we see is that they have 72% active usage of Microsoft 365 Copilot. Compare that to only 43% active usage of Copilot for those of our customers that do not use the Copilot community. So certainly we think there are some great benefits to having this Copilot community enabled within your network so that you can connect your employees with other experts for them to be able to ask questions. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But if you haven't already enabled your Copilot adoption community, it's pretty simple to do so. If you are an admin of your community, we do provide a prompt. We provide you some easy steps for you to click through to create this Copilot community. As long as you've deployed even one Microsoft 365 Copilot license in your tenant, we'll offer this ability for you to launch this Copilot community or have this Copilot community available in your network. Copilot community, by the way, you can actually connect this Copilot community and get the benefits of this community with the one that you've already created. So with this community, you get a nice checklist of how to run your community. We have what's called the intelligent importer. So if you have a list of frequently asked Copilot questions, for example, you can quickly upload those and have those available in the community. We also will provide seeded content for you, so seeded posts, so that if you want to, as a community owner of this community, you can just quickly create posts and have them posted in your community without having to put much thought to it. We also have recently introduced the ability for you to see the related questions in this Copilot community. So as your employees are starting to type a question in this community, we'll use AI to determine, are there existing questions and answers that might match whatever this community member is typing, and we will surface those questions straight away. And you can see here, if there happens to be a best answer attached to those, then we will show that in this view as well. And so hopefully we can help that person find that answer straight away without having to ask that question. Certainly they can continue to ask this question, but this is a capability that is now available as part of that Copilot community. Some other capabilities that we're looking to improve upon with the Copilot experience. For those of you that are CNC customers, you might have been using the Engage Copilot capability inside of Engage, which up till today, a lot of the Copilot capability has really been focused on the creation, helping to inspire you for ways to post, helping you to craft a post inside of Engage. Those will continue to exist, but we're also going to be expanding the capabilities of Copilot so that you can use Copilot in some of the other very valuable ways that you see the Copilot used in other places. For example, summarization. So in this case, this example here is showing a summarization of maybe I want to know what the themes are, what people are saying about Copilot in my network. So I could, in this case, do a prompt that's asking for a summarization of what people are saying in my network about Microsoft 365 Copilot. Or maybe I'm a community owner and I want to go to a community that I run and be able to ask, help me summarize the recent posts. Maybe I've been on a holiday and I want to catch up on some of the recent posts. So I could ask Copilot to do a summarization of that. So in addition to the creation capabilities that we've offered around in the Engage Copilot experience, increasingly you'll see more advanced and more ways for you to use the Copilot experience inside of Engage. This should be available by the next quarter of this calendar year. We are, for some customers, we have this available as a private preview. Please reach out if this is something that you're interested in trying out. Okay. The next area that we want to focus on, and a big area of investment for us, is further integration with Microsoft Teams. As I mentioned earlier, we're really bullish on making sure that we meet your employees in this surface of Microsoft Teams. We want it to be as native feeling of an experience as possible. And one of the first updates that I want to talk about is one of the updates that we have made or that we are going to roll out in the mobile Teams experience. Here you see a view of the Teams mobile experience. You have this great dashboard experience. Of course, I can access my activity feed and see all my notifications. I can access chat quickly. But one of the great updates that we've recently that we're going to be rolling out is this update to the Engage experience inside of Teams. You see, I have my full access to the feed here. We've improved it to be much more performant, much more reliable. I can have access to my communities at the top. We've cleaned up the user interface to make it much more clear. Here you can see I can participate in a poll straight away. I can see the contents of this particular community. Of course, I can post. We've also improved the experience of attaching media to a post inside of this Engage app inside of Teams. So it's much easier, much more straightforward for folks to be able to quickly add images or videos to a post. And you can see I can easily post this message from the Engage app inside of Teams. For those of you that might be, again, Engage Premium or CNC customers, you also will have easy access to things like Leadership Corner. So for those of you that have configured your network with leaders and audiences, I can easily and quickly go to the Leaders tab at the top and be able to interact with the leaders that matter to me most in my organization. Of course, for a lot of our frontline employees, frontline workers, also want quick access to answers as well. So here you see at the top the access to answers. So hopefully what you see here is a very streamlined experience of the Communities app inside of Teams. Here you see just an overall view of what that looks like. We want to provide a great experience for you to provide that sort of brandable, customizable landing page with dashboard and cards for people to access things that they might need access to, like shifts and tasks on the homepage. And then also the ability to quickly access chat with your colleagues. We know that's an important aspect for many of you that have frontline workers, so we want to provide that experience quickly as well. And then again, that streamlined Engage experience inside of Teams. You can fully brand it. It's called Community here, but you can rename it to whatever makes sense to your organization. So this is something that we'll start to roll out by the end of this quarter, this updated view. We are starting a private preview of this. Again, reach out to us if you're interested in previewing this updated mobile experience inside of Teams. At Ignite, we also announced our integration of Storyline into Teams. And Storyline has been one of these capabilities that is really picking up a lot of momentum with many of our customers, especially those of you that are trying to get your leaders more engaged. And Storyline in Teams is one of the exciting capabilities that we are going to be incorporating much more natively into Teams. So I'm going to show you this video about how Storyline will come into Teams more natively, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to further that integration with Engage into Teams. For those of you that are using Storyline, again, what we see is this capability is great for leaders. And I wanted to give you just a quick snapshot of what that looks like in our Microsoft environment. This is one of the things that Jeff Teeper, some of you probably know Jeff, he leads our teams in SharePoint and Engage organizations. What he does on a weekly basis is what's called a Fast Friday update. It's just, what's top of mind for Jeff? What's he been working on? Who are some of the customers he's been meeting with? What are some of the product decisions or events that he's preparing for? But this is how this Storyline integration is really going to start to show up in a meaningful way inside of Teams. I happen to subscribe to Jeff's updates. So being that I subscribe to Jeff's updates, I can get a notification of Jeff's updates in my directly here inside of Teams. And when I receive that update, I get that I get access to that post directly inside of Teams. You notice here we've really tried to clean up the interface while bringing this natively into Teams and really focusing on the content itself. Of course, I can play these videos right in line should I choose to. Here you see Allison has responded to this post. I can react to it in line. I can comment on it directly from here. So again, much like you've seen some of the other integrations that we've done in this space with Teams, we want to make sure we're allowing for your employees to engage and communicate and participate in this conversation wholly within the space of Teams itself. Now, as I mentioned previously, oh, and by the way, I can also access, if I wanted to go to Jeff's full Storyline, here you can see I can go to Storyline. I could see any of his previous posts directly inside of Teams as well. As I mentioned earlier, community has always been foundational to Engage, and we want to also bring this community experience much more natively into Teams as well. And so this will give you just a view of how this will start to come together. If you paid attention to any of the updates from the Teams at Ignite, you might have heard about the new chats and channels experience. So this is what you're seeing here is that new chats and channels experience. But what you'll also see is where we're going to be incorporating communities directly into this experience as well. So if I'm part of this sales floor support community, you can see this is how the community will start to look natively inside of Teams. I have my community participate in all the conversations directly from my Teams interface. This is a view of what this experience will start to look like natively in mobile. Again, you see that chats and channels experience here in the Teams mobile app. If I want to go to the customer support community, I have full access to that. I can go back here and maybe go to the Women at Contoso community. Again, a very much more we continue to streamline this experience to make that community experience much more embedded inside, feel much more embedded inside of Teams. So let us know what you think. Love to know how you feel about some of these experiences and continuing to bring Engage closer into Teams. I just want to say that we'll continue to have the dedicated Engage experiences both on the web and mobile. So should you choose to have those dedicated Engage experiences, we know many of you like to be able to switch between applications. We'll still continue to have those experiences. We just know also there are some folks that like sort of the all-in-one experience. And so that's what we're aiming for here as well. Okay. Moving on to the next section, which is really aimed at many of you who are corporate communicators. Allison is going to come and share a little bit of the work that we're doing to help you all create content, target content to certain people within your organization. Allison, you want to take it away?
Sure. Can you all hear me okay? Everything's good? All right, I don't have any fancy dance music, although I've been dancing the whole time. So I think where we're going to start here really quick is I know many of you speak many different languages. I've already seen some of it in the chat, and we know that your employees speak different languages. Something that we're working on and that will be available kind of towards the later half of this year is being able to post in multiple languages at once. And so this comes from direct customer need. We have heard all of you. We've heard some of the asks from you. So you'll be able to post in multiple languages. Your employees will receive translated versions kind of what they're consuming as well. So we're really excited about this and we're curious to see how you all will be using this too within your organization. A couple of other things that we're excited about, I know my team uses some of these often and always, is the ability to kind of add and continue to incorporate rich media into the content that we share. And one of the things that's probably, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but it's probably one of my most favorite things of recent is the long form article post. If you're in our customer community, you see me posting these all the time, but coming really soon is the ability to add, I'm going to mute this music really quick, but to add videos directly in line into those long form media, long form posts as well. So this is really exciting. I think this is from a visual perspective, really catches your eye, especially as you're kind of thinking about it from a corporate communications perspective, weaving in the video and the media and the images kind of all within your messaging as well. Another piece of the puzzle that is coming really, really soon is the ability to edit and schedule. Actually, no, this just went live, I think, last week, to edit and schedule polls. This, again, comes out of direct customer feedback. We heard you. We have implemented this. So now you'll be able to draft, edit, and schedule polls just like you were able to do all the other post type. Also on the heels of a huge customer ask was the ability to pin multiple posts within communities. We have heard you. This should be live, but you should be able to pin up to 6 different conversations. And if you're like me, I go a little bit pin happy, so don't forget to unpin some of those conversations after they're a little bit stale. But you can pin up to 2 or more, and then the carousel will start to happen within your community managers. I don't know, maybe drop in the chat if you've started to use the multiple pin before. Have you seen that in your network? Are you using that today? Let us know if you're pinning conversations. So again, giving community admins and community managers as well as corporate communicators just the ability to kind of get some more eyeballs and reach and visibility and kind of that stickiness of some of those conversations. And then coming soon and kind of in preview right now, we've got some updates with live events and town halls coming to Viva Engage. Town halls in Viva Engage is currently in preview, and this is going to be being replaced and with an updated experience with additional Q&A moderation capabilities, live reactions, questions, voting, and more. Our team at Customer Zero, we use this capability today, and it's pretty incredible to kind of see the level of engagement from a community perspective as kind of the event goes live. And if you're interested in the private preview, this link on the screen is actually a live link, so feel free to hit that link and then you can request to be a part of the private preview. So we're still recruiting a few customers for that as well. All right, a couple more things here from a corporate communications perspective, as well as kind of an event perspective. We know a handful of you, or actually not a handful, way more than a handful of you, have multiple tenants kind of connected with our multi-tenant capabilities. You now can do Ask Me Anythings across tenants as well. So in order to include everyone for those leadership, those moderated Q&As, now you can do this across tenants as well. So this is available now in case you missed that. And the last kind of couple pieces I want to talk about kind of goes back to what Steve was saying about extending the reach and kind of how you're going to be able to kind of get your messages everywhere your employees are. Is, we are currently in a private preview right now with the ability to preview, schedule, and publish directly from Amplify. So if any of you are using Amplify, I know a few of you are, as I see familiar faces, and I know a few of you are actually in the preview as well. As you're starting to kind of create content and amplify, you'll also be able to publish to a storyline or to communities as well in Viva Engage. And it doesn't stop there. Of course, you can kind of do it the opposite way. We just, we have a SharePoint web part, but we've just also added the ability to kind of filter on a leadership perspective. So if you have leaders identified in your Viva Engage network and you have a SharePoint site where you have leadership information and news and events, you can now edit and add those leaders and the content directly into the SharePoint web part. This is already available right now. So you can kind of have that pivot as a conversation source. And then lastly, this is kind of in the works and coming towards the later half of this year, is that we're really excited to bring more engaged content into the Connections experience. So if you are using Connections and Viva Connections right now, you'll start to see a lot more ways that corporate communicators can target and can pull out some of the content from Engage into Connections, whether it's the announcement kind of across the top, or some of the different ways to spotlight campaigns or specific people, and then also a specific Viva Engage card within the dashboard as well. So you can quickly react, reply directly from Connections as well. All right, I think that's it for me, and then I'll pass it over to Steve.
Yeah, Allison, if you mind going back to the multi-language slide for just a moment, please. There were a few questions I'd like to just address about that. So first of all, I just want to clarify a few things. First of all, we do have automatic translation available for posts today. So for example, if Allison were to post something in Spanish, if her native language is Spanish and my native language is English, I would see that message show up in Spanish. However, in the feed, I'd be able to hit the translate button. It would translate that message in line, no problem. That's available today. What this capability is, multi-language posting, is what we heard from especially you all as communicators say is that you don't want to rely on the machine-driven translation of a message. You want to control the translation of a message at the time of posting the message. So that's what this capability allows you to do. So especially for those of you that might be our Canadian customers, you have some regulatory needs to be able to make sure content is posted in French, for example. So what this allows you to do is create an English version of a post and a French version of a post, for example, and also have attachments that are unique to that translation. So in this case, you see, apologies, the screenshot's a little bit fuzzy on my end. We'll try to fix those in the future, but you can attach those photos to this French version of the translation, and then perhaps have different photos for the English version of the post. When this message is posted, if I'm a French-speaking person, my interface is in French, I would automatically see the French version of this message. So again, this capability is really for you all as communicators to be able to control the translation of the post at the time of posting. Hopefully that's clear for folks.
Yep. Thank you so much for clearing that up. I wonder if we could demo that in the future. Hopefully we can.
Yeah, we can. This will be available as a private preview, probably in the May-ish time period. So keep an eye out for that. And then as we get closer to that time frame, we'll have more ability to demo that in the future. So thank you, Allison, for running through those capabilities. I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about notifications. And this is a hot topic for many of you. And one of the things that we are excited to introduce is that we'll be rolling out soon is an update to the notification settings experience. So what you'll see is I'm going to go up to the gear here, and I can go to my settings, and you'll see, first of all, just this overall simplified view of being able to get to the overall settings experience. But when I go over here to notifications, you'll see a much more simplified, minimalist view of the notifications. We've also cleaned up a lot of the descriptions here to make it more clear for your employees about what each of these notifications are. I can set each of these toggles for the daily and weekly digest. Some of you or some of your employees might also want to be able to get email notifications for specific communities. I can click on edit, and here I get a view of all of the communities that I'm a part of, and I can toggle on or off email notifications for a given community here as well. So this will start to roll out later this quarter. Again, one of the things that we've heard frequently from you all is just to simplify and make the notifications experience much more clear. And so we hope this updated notifications experience will do that for you. Another hot topic for many of you is analytics, and I'll just be clear for those of our customers on the call here, the analytics capabilities that we're talking about primarily are for our CNC customers. So we can have a total separate session if you want to reach out and understand the full breadth of the analytics that we provide. We're not going to go into all of those things today, but for those of you that do have access to analytics, there are a couple of capabilities that we want to just alert you about that are coming. The first one is custom date range. This is a very hot one for many of you. For those of you that have had access to analytics, we currently show them in these sort of nice, neat 7, 28-day, 90-day, 1-year timeframes, but that's not always useful for you. Sometimes you want to be able to modify that date range. Maybe you've done a specific event within a community and you want to be able to filter and see what the activity was specific to that time frame. So here I am going into a community. Again, you can see it's default to the last 28 days, but we'll soon provide a custom option for you to choose a specific date range. Again, maybe it's during a specific time period that you had an event. You can go and customize and choose the specific time frame that you ran that event, and then be able to filter the data based on that particular date range. So here, once I apply this, then you'll see that now it's filtered for only that date range. This is also a great opportunity for you to see some of the other capabilities that we're getting ready to release for communities. You'll see enhanced community activity, also activity around answers, some of the trending conversations that are happening within that community. We're also getting ready to roll out this optimizer for the community. So you can see what are some activities that you might want to pay attention to improve the activity and engagement within your community. Maybe I want to see what questions have been posted that haven't been answered yet that I still need to respond to. So this optimizer will help filter and show you some of those questions that you might want to pay attention to, you might want to get to, so that you can continue the sustainability of your overall community. So updated custom date range for analytics in the community. Also the optimizer, those are some new capabilities that you can look forward to within analytics. We're also getting ready to roll out sentiment analysis for conversation. So some of you have these great conversations that happen within your network. Sometimes we've heard from customers that have hundreds or thousands of replies to a thread, which is great to see that type of engagement. But it's hard to read and parse through all of those conversations. And so here we want to provide an ability for you within that conversation to understand what is the overall sentiment of the conversation. And so here you'll see an example of what that sentiment analysis will start to look like for a conversation. Is the overall sentiment trending positive or negative? We'll use AI to pull out themes based on the comments and discussion that's happening within that thread. This does require a minimum number of replies. I think it's 5 replies in order for us to be able to run sentiment analysis. We want to make sure there's some anonymity to that. That's why we have a minimum threshold before we run the sentiment analysis on a conversation. But again, for those of you that are corporate communicators, we think this will be super helpful for you to understand within the depths of that conversation, what are people talking about? What are people thinking? What do people care about? And pulling those out and highlighting those for you. We'll also be including the sentiment analysis in the community analytics soon as well. So again, much more depth coming to both conversation and community analytics.
And I dropped it in the chat, but we just broke down all of the new capabilities that are available now and coming next in the blog today, this morning, literally 30 minutes ago. So we are rocking and rolling with that.
Great. Good timing. Thank you. All right. As I alluded to up front, a big focus of ours is to make sure that that knowledge that people are sharing on Engage is available for more people across your tenant and across your organization. And a big part of connecting to knowledge, first of all, is identifying experts and having confidence in the knowledge that exists within your organization. We recently released a new capability within a community for your community admins to define who the experts are in the community. Adding an expert is super simple. As a community admin, I can just search for a person in my organization. In this case, I want to add Samik as an expert here, and boom, Samik is anointed as an expert here. As an expert, you'll see we put a little pill or a little notation, a label next to the person. Here you see Wole has been identified as a community expert. So we want to provide that visual connotation that who the experts are. The additional ability that we provide to community experts is the ability to not only mark a best answer, but a new capability to mark a verified answer. within the community. We think this verified answer will provide an additional layer of trust to your employees for what that sort of official answer is. And so this is sort of like having a verified answer for your organization. And this is a capability that experts will have. So we recently rolled out the ability for you to define the experts. This ability for community experts to mark the verified tag will soon roll out for customers probably later this quarter, early into the next quarter. This expert capability, just because I see it in the chat out of the side of my eye here, the community expert capability is available to all of our Microsoft 365 customers, and the verified capability will also be available to Microsoft customers, Microsoft 365 customers as well. So we want everybody to be able to have this ubiquitous ability to define experts and to verify answers as well. Where this will really start to show up and where this will really start to provide benefit is we also recently announced the ability to have Engage content, specifically Q&A content, available in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So what you'll soon be able to see is that when you're asking a question on Copilot, you're doing some prompt on Copilot, the responses and the answers that you get from Copilot will be sourced from content that comes from Engage. And this is a visual of what that will start to look like. So you'll see Copilot will provide this nice summary here. Then it'll have the footnote or notation that this message is coming from Engage. And soon we'll also have a visual representation that this is a verified answer for your organization. I think this is really powerful because if you think about maybe your employees are going to ChatGPT, maybe they're going to Gemini, and they're getting an okay answer from those places. But what we want to provide is, again, that trusted, verified answer for your organization. And that can only come from having that knowledge inside of Engage. And so, again, we want to improve the psychological safety. We want to improve the trust that your employees have in this knowledge. And so both by adding experts and adding verification and having those surface through Copilot, we think we have a great flywheel for your employees to access knowledge in your organization. We also recently introduced an ability for you to have sort of a dynamic frequently asked questions or a dynamic FAQ within your community. So on the right rail of your community, you might have started to see this top questions module. And this is really based on we pull out the top questions from the last 90 days, the ones that have the most views, and we populate them into this top questions module. I can click on view more questions to see a more full list of those top questions. But we know for a lot of you sometimes you get tired of answering the same questions over and over again. This helps to visualize and bring some of those top questions to bear. Again, having this sort of dynamic, frequently asked questions available directly in your community. Okay, fast and furious. We're going to move on to the next section, which is moderation. And this is another area that we've heard, we've gotten some great feedback from you all over the years on ways that you want to help moderate, you want to create the right guardrails, you want to keep conversations, and you want to keep employees safe within your organization. And we've taken a lot of that feedback to heart and created some new capabilities for that. So we'll talk about next some of the improvements that you can expect to see and some things that we've recently delivered as well. This first one is very much based on some of the work that we've been doing to use AI to help you better understand the conversations that are happening within your organization. Earlier, you saw a little bit of the work that we're doing around sentiment analysis, so specifically around conversations and communities. You also have sentiment analysis. For those of you that are CNC customers, you have sentiment analysis and theming. That's available as part of your audience and network analytics. Those are predominantly based on conversations that are already happening within your organization. So in some ways, it's sort of a reactive way of looking at the conversations and understanding the themes that people are talking about. We also know that many of you want to be a bit more proactive in understanding the themes of the conversations that are happening within your network. And that's what this content alerts capability will allow you to do. On the left-hand side, you see this ability that we're going to provide for you to define what are the themes that you care about, what are the themes that you want to monitor for. In this example, Maybe we just recently had our elections here in the US. So maybe you want to monitor for conversations around politics. Maybe you're releasing a new strategy and you want to understand as people are having conversations about those, how do people feel about the new strategy that you're deriving or new strategy that you're announcing? Maybe you're doing a quarterly report or quarterly update, and you want to, again, understand the sentiment of those. You can define any of those criteria to your heart's desire. And this is different than keyword monitoring. Keyword monitoring, which is more matching terms and phrases. What we're using here are phrases, and we're going to use AI to determine does this conversation match a certain theme or phrase that you might have defined. You'll also notice at the bottom here that you'll be able to define who might need to be alerted of the conversations that are happening around this theme. Certainly, this capability would be available to admins or the corporate communicator role, but there might be people outside of those roles that want to be notified of those conversations that are happening. So you'll be able to define who those people are that might also need to be notified about conversations happening around that particular theme. So as conversations are happening, what we'll provide you is a dashboard so you can see of those themes, what are the conversations that are happening? What's the sentiment around that? Is it positive or is it negative? We'll also provide you an ability to take a quick action on that. So maybe you need to close that conversation straight away. Maybe you don't want any more replies to that, or maybe you want to mute that conversation from appearing in the feeds and other digests. So the idea here is the dashboard will provide you an overall view of those themes that you're monitoring, the sentiment behind those, and in some cases be able to take quick action on those posts directly from the dashboard itself. So this is another area that we are currently working on. I think we'll announce a private preview of this for those of you that might be interested in this. This will be part of the CNC license, and our plan is to have this available available broadly in the next quarter. Some additional capabilities that are available to all of our Microsoft 365 customers today are some abilities for you to manage or to moderate at a sort of a user level. So there's two new capabilities that we introduced recently to help you with that. The first one is the ability to mute a user. And this sometimes comes up you might have a particular employee that they're posting frequently. There's nothing necessarily wrong with what they're posting, but maybe some people might call them noisy, and you want to reduce sort of the blast radius, if you will, of some of their posts. And so what this ability allows you to do as an admin is to mute that user. So in this case, Isaiah has been muted. Essentially, Isaiah can still post on Engage, but what we'll do is we'll sort of dampen his post from appearing in the various feed experience that we have, whether it be the home feed or what we call the Discovery Digest. Those are some of the areas that will lessen the visibility of Isaiah's posts. You can remove Isaiah from this capability at any time. It's also important to note that Isaiah doesn't know that he's been put into this state. So it's sort of a silent capability that you have as an admin in the background. The next capability is maybe a more drastic step that you might take for some folks, which we call view-only mode. In some cases, maybe you want to give somebody a bit of a timeout and give them a little break from posting on Engage. What view-only mode does is it actually restricts that person from posting onto Engage entirely. So any place where a person might contribute, we'll remove that access. So in this case, you see Alex has been put into view-only mode, and here is effectively what that view would look like. So we gray out, we lock any ability for the person to post, reply, create, react to a post. All of those capabilities are removed for that person. Again, you can choose to you can choose the duration of the person that's in view only mode to be as short or as long as you might need. So these are a couple of capabilities that are available to customers today, and based on a lot of the feedback that you all provided. So hopefully those are useful for you all. Okay. Just to wrap up, we want to share a couple of things that are futures, and these don't have specific dates attached to them, so that's why they're in this futures category, but we wanted to tease a little bit of some of the work that the team is continuing to work on. Again, focusing on analytics, an area that we know a lot of you like to give us feedback on. And this one is specific to organizational analytics. So the ability for us to be able to provide some greater depth into the data itself. So here what you'll see is the ability for you to soon be able to filter something like the network analytics and be able to filter it by country or by state or by departments. And this is all based on you providing us in a very safe manner information about your own HR, your own organizational structure. So we'll go into more detail about how all this stuff works. If you're already providing us some of that organizational data as part of Viva Insights, or in some cases as part of Viva Amplify, we're using the exact same data if you're familiar with any of those means of providing us that organizational data. But just know that we're also looking at being able to also leverage that same organizational data so that you can filter and see this network data much more granularly at some of these filterable levels. The other area that we're really focused on is helping experts answer questions much more quickly. We always want to make sure that there's a human in the loop here. So we likely won't have a place where Copilot is automatically answering questions on behalf of somebody else. We always want to make sure that there's an expert in the middle validating and verifying the knowledge that's being shared here. So this is one example of what this might look like for a person to be able to use Copilot to automatically generate or draft an answer to a given question. Of course, that person can use that draft straight away. They can make modifications to it. But again, our goal here is to help improve the lives of our community managers, improve the lives of our experts, and be able to expedite the answering of questions, especially for some of those really active communities that we know many of you have. So this is something you can look forward to, is the ability to have Copilot support the answering of questions in communities. All right, just to wrap up, we'll provide you this view, this overall view of much more of the capabilities that the team is working on. We don't have a full amount of time to go through in the 60 minutes that we have today, but here's a view of things that are recently available or in private preview, and some things that are coming up real soon that we, in some cases, didn't have the ability to cover fully here. So we'll pause. Actually, I'll just go through a couple more slides, and then maybe we'll take the last couple minutes here to answer some questions. But also want to make sure you're aware that, especially for many of you that might be new to Engage, or maybe some of you that just need a refresher on some of these capabilities of Engage, we are running what we call a masterclass series. Here are the dates for some of these different workshops that we're offering. The next one is next week, where Allison and team will be focused on some of the best practices around community management. You can click the live link at the bottom to register for any of these upcoming sessions. We'd love to have you join us for these sessions where we go deep into these areas. They're 90-minute sessions with the experts on our teams. You'll have an opportunity to connect directly with many of our product managers that are building these capabilities. So highly encourage you to join our masterclass series that we're running over the next couple of weeks and months. For those of you that might be traveling and might be in Las Vegas the week of May 6th to the 8th, please join us in person if you can at the the Microsoft 365 conference. Our team will be there. We'll have folks from across Microsoft certainly there as well. But it's a great opportunity to see from a broad perspective what's happening across Microsoft 365. For those of you that are communicators, we will have a communication specific track there as well. So please click the link to learn more, and would love to see you there. Lastly, we are also running a series for those of you that are communicators, AI for communicators. The next one is coming up on March 7th. We did one back in December, I believe, with our Microsoft Digital team, where they talked about how they're using AI to create content, effective ways to use AI to be more efficient in your role as communicators. Steve Clayton leads a lot of these efforts here at Microsoft, so it's a great opportunity for you to learn more about how to use some of these new AI capabilities, how to use Copilot to be much more effective in your role as communicators. So really encourage you to join this session if you're available as well. And then lastly, we have recently published this guide. This is a very comprehensive guide. It goes along really well with our masterclass, by the way, where you can download this ebook, and it's written by our Microsoft Digital or our Microsoft IT organization plus corporate communicators. So hopefully you all have this great marriage in your organizations of IT. If you're in IT and you're working directly with your corp comms team and vice versa. That's really what this ebook is about, is how we deployed Engage at Microsoft, both from an IT and sort of a governance perspective, but also some of the best practices that our Microsoft Corp Comms team has injected on how to engage community, how to engage Microsoft employees, how to create campaigns. Lots of great information in this ebook. It's a great way for you to learn more about how we've delivered Engage at Microsoft. And I'll just close on this. I'll leave this slide up again. This is just revisiting this from the beginning so you can get an overall view of some of the capabilities for those of you that are Microsoft 365 customers and those of you that are Viva Suite or CNC customers, just an overview of what's available. If you have questions about any of these capabilities, or if you wanted to bump up to the Viva Suite or CNC, please reach out. We're happy to help you and understand those capabilities as well. So, Allison, anything from the Q&A that is pertinent that we should answer live?
Yes, there have been so many questions. If you go back a couple slides, will you just go back to kind of what's available now and what's coming soon? How can folks kind of keep in the loop of when things are coming, and how will they know? And where can they get the recording and maybe a version of these slides as they continue to prepare their organizations for all these changes? So maybe we'll end with that since we're at 54. So.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the chat, by the way. We have we call our Viva Engage Customer Connection community, and it's a very vibrant place for you all to join. We constantly are providing updates and posting how to join our various private preview opportunities. So James or Allison, if you have it handy and can plug that the short link into the chat, that will if you fill out that form, we can add you to the community. That's a great place for you to access ongoing any of our updates any of the updates that we'll share. Also, that's a great place for you to interact with other customers, other folks that might be on this call. I'm sure are frequent in that community. Thank you for participating in that community with us. But also, many of our product leaders, product managers are also active in that community. So totally love to have you all join that community. I think that's a great place for you to get those updates and participate with our team.
Great. Okay, well, we hope to see you all in either the customer community in Vegas, on one of the upcoming master classes, in one of the webinars coming up. Do not be a stranger. Let us know what you're thinking and how you're using Viva Engage with your employees today. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.